Welcome to the DragonLance Saga Gaming Advanced Dungeons & Dragons episode. This is the 15th episode in the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide series. It is Misham New Cult the 8th. My name is Adam. Dragonlance came out of Dungeons & Dragons, so I thought it'd be fun to read the core rules aloud and discuss them with a live audience. I'd like to take a moment and thank the DL Saga YouTube members and Patreon patrons, and invite you to consider becoming a member or patron. You can even grab Dragonlance Media using my affiliate links in the description below. Hey, so the Breck, how you doing, man? All right, we are picking up right where we left off in Miscellaneous Magic. Gauntlets of Dexterity. A pair of these gauntlets appear to be nothing more than light leather handwear for the everyday sort. Naturally, they radiate magic if so detected. They size themselves magically to fit any hand, from that of a huge human to that of a small halfling when drawn on. A pair of gauntlets of dexterity increases overall dexterity by 4 points if it's 6 or less, by 2 points if it's 7 to 13, and by 1 point if dexterity is 14 or higher. Furthermore, wearing these gloves enables non-thief characters to pick pockets or open locks, as if he or she were a 4th level thief. If worn by a thief, they increase these abilities by adding 10% to the normal percentage chance for the character's level. Gauntlets of Fumbling. These gauntlets may be of supple leather or heavy protective gloves suitable for use with armor of ring, scale, chain, etc. In the former instance, these gauntlets will appear to be of dexterity, in the latter case of ogre power. They will perform according to every test just as if they were other gauntlets, but when an enemy is actively seeking to harm their wearer, or in some similar life and death situation, their curse is activated, and he or she will become very clumsy, with a 50% chance each round of dropping anything held in either hand, not from both singly. The gauntlets will also lower overall dexterity by 2 points. Once the curse is activated, the gloves can only be removed by means of a remove curse spell or a wish. Hey, Justin, how you doing? Gauntlets of Ogre Power. Probably the most popular gauntlets. A pair of Ogre Power gauntlets appear the same as a typical handwear for armor. The wearer of these gauntlets, however, is imbued with 1800 strength in his or her hands, arms, and shoulders. When striking with the hand or with a weapon hurled or held, the gauntlets add +3 to hit probability and +6 to damage inflicted when a hit is made. These gauntlets are particularly desirable when combined with a girdle of giant strength and a hurled weapon. They enlarge or shrink to fit human to halfling-sized hands. Gauntlets of Swimming and Climbing. A pair of these gloves appear as normal lightweight handwear, but they are most useful magic items and radiate their dweomer if a detection is attempted. The wearer can have hands of large human or small halfling size. He or she will be enabled to swim as fast as a Triton, 15 inches underwater, and as fast as a merman, 18 inches on the surface. Of course, these gauntlets do not empower the wearer to breathe water. These gloves also give the wearer a very strong and able gripping and holding ability with respect to climbing, so as to enable him or her to climb vertically of nearly any vertical surface, upwards or downwards, with a 95% probability of not slipping and falling. And if the wearer is a thief, the gauntlets increase success probability to 99.5%. Hey, Blackbane, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in. Gem of Brightness. This crystal appears to be nothing more than a gem in rather rough, long, prismed shape. Upon utterance of the proper spell words, however, the crystal will emit bright light of 3 sorts. It can be caused to shed a pale light in a cone shape 10 feet long, emanating from the gem to a radius of 2.5 feet at the end of the beam. This does not discharge any of the energy of the device. Another command will cause the gem of brightness to send out a very bright ray of light of only 1 foot diameter, but of 50-foot length, and any creature who is struck in the eyes by this beam will be dazzled for 1 to 4 rounds and unable to see. The creature struck is entitled to a saving throw versus magic to determine whether or not its eyes were shut or averted in time. This use of the gem expends 1 energy charge. The third manner in which the item may be used is to cause it to flare into a blinding flash of light in a cone of 30 foot long and 5 foot radius at its terminus. Although this glare lasts but a moment, all creatures within the area must save versus magic or be blinded for 1 to 4 rounds, and thereafter suffer a penalty of -1 to -4 on hit probability die rolls due to permanent eye damage. Thus, use This use expends 5 charges. Dazzling or blinding effect can be removed by a cure blindness spell. Eye damage can be cured only by a heal spell. The Gem of Brightness has 50 charges and cannot be recharged. A darkness spell will drain one of its charges or make it useless for 1 round at the option of the gem owner. A continual darkness spell will cause it to be useless for 1 day or expend 5 charges at the option of the owner. Hey, DJ Jam and Fat Flavors. Thanks for tuning in. Gem of Seeing. One of these finely cut and polished stones is normally indistinguishable from a jewel of the ordinary sort, although a detect magic will reveal its dweller. When gazed through, the Gem of Seeing enables the user to detect all hidden, illusory, invisible, astral, ethereal, or out-of-phase things within viewing range. Peering through the crystal is time-consuming and tedious. The viewing range of the gem is 30 inches for a cursory scan if only large, obvious objects are being sought, 10 inches if small things are to be seen. It requires 1 round to scan a 200-foot square area in a cursory manner, 2 rounds to view a 100-foot square area in a careful way. There's a 5% chance each time the gem is used that the viewer will see a hallucination, see something that is not there, or possibly see through some real thing as if it were an illusion. Well, that's messed up. Girdle of Femininity, Masculinity. This broad leather band appears to be a normal belt used commonly by all sorts of adventurers, but of course, it is magical. If buckled on, it will immediately change the sex of the wearer to the opposite gender. Its magical curse fulfilled, the belt then loses all power. The original sex of the character cannot be restored by any normal means, although a wish might do so, 50% chance, and a powerful being can alter the situation, i.e., it takes a godlike creature to set matters aright with certainty. 10% of these girdles actually remove all sex from the wearer. Woof. Wow. Okay. So it makes an innie and outie or an outie and innie, and then it could actually just remove it all, so you're like a Ken doll? Like it's smooth? What does that mean? How do you poop or pee? All right. Girdle of Giant Strength. This belt looks similar to those normal to adventuring. It is imbued with very powerful magic, of course, and when worn, it increases the physical prowess of its wearer as follows. And of course, it goes by the die roll and the type of giant and their strength rating, going up to a storm giant of 24 strength, and +6 to hit and +12 damage is the max. And of course, the adjustments for open doors and everything. So the number in parentheses is the number of chances out of 6, 8 for Storm Giant Strength, for the character to be able to force open a locked, barred, magically held, or wizard locked door, but only 1 attempt ever per door may be made, and if it fails, no further attempt can succeed. You can just kick in a magically held door because you're a badass giant strength. The wearer of the girdle is able to otherwise hurl rocks and bend bars, as if he or she has imbibed a potion of giant strength. And of course, it goes by type of giant and showcases the weight allowance of the rock, the range, the damage, etc. The strength gained is not cumulative with normal or magical strength bonuses, except with regard to use in combination with gauntlets of ogre power and magical warhammers. Why would... I don't understand... This actually kind of doesn't make any sense. So if it works in conjunction with gauntlets of ogre power, and ogre power only gives you a strength of 1800, and all of this gives you a strength of 19 to 24, why would you need the gauntlets of ogre power, and what benefit would the gauntlets of ogre power give you that the girdle of giant strength does not already give you? It doesn't seem like there's any benefit. So that is interesting. If you guys have any indication of this, please let me know. Helm of Brilliance. When discovered, a Helm of Brilliance appears to be nothing more than an ordinary piece of armor for head protection, viz. A helmet, bassinet, sallet, etc. of iron or steel. When worn, it functions only upon the utterance of a special command word. When so empowered, the true nature of the helm is visible to all. The helm is armor of +2 value. It is of brilliant silver and polished steel, and set with 10 diamonds, 20 rubies, 30 fire opals, and 40 opals, each of large size and magicked. which performs as explained below. When struck by brilliant light, the helm will scintillate and send forth reflective rays in all directions from its crown-like spires set with gems. The jewel's functions are Diamond, Prismatic Spray as a 7th level illusionist spell. Ruby, Wall of Fire as the 5th level druid spell. Fire Opal, Fireball as the 3rd level magic user spell. Opal Light as the 1st level cleric spell. Each gem can perform its spell-like powers, power in but one segment, but each is usable only once. The helm may be thus used only once per round. The level of the spell is doubled to obtain the level at which the spell was cast with respect to range, duration, and such considerations. Unlike all of its jewels are magically expended, until all of its jewels are magically expended, a Helm of Brilliance is also capable of the following magical properties when activated. 1. It glows with a bluish light when undead are within 30 feet, this light causing pain and 1 to 6 points of damage to all such creatures save skeletons and zombies. 2. The wearer may command any sword he or she wields to become a sword of flame. That's cool. This being additional to its other special properties. If any, 1 round of time is required to affect the fire. 3. The wearer may produce flame just as if he or she were a 5th level druid. 4. The wearer is protected just as if a double strength fire resistance ring were worn, but this protection cannot be augmented by further magical means. Once all of its jewels have lost their magic, the helm loses all of its powers. The gem turns to worthless powder when this occurs. Removing a jewel destroys the gem. They may not be re-magicked. If for any reason the wearer fails to make his or her saving throw versus a magical fire attack, he or she must attempt another saving throw for the helm without magical additions. If this is failed, the remaining gems on the helm will all overload and detonate, causing in multiple whatever effects the gem would normally have. That sounds like it's not worth it. Holy crap! If you just happen to be in the range of one fireball, your wonderful helm will just explode and murder everyone as if a bomb has gone off. All right, Helm of Comprehending Languages and Reading Magic. Appearing as a normal war helmet, a helm of comprehending languages and reading magic enables its wearer to understand 90% of strange tongues and writings, 80% of magical writings. Note, these percentage figures apply to whether all or none of the speaking, writing, or inscription is understandable. Understanding does not necessarily imply spell use. This device is equal to a normal helmet of the type accompanying Armor Class 5. All right, 90% of strange tongues. So I guess you still will not understand Esperanto. Helm of Opposite Alignment. By appearance, this metal hat is simply a typical helmet. By test, it will radiate an indeterminate dweomer. Once placed upon the head, however, its curse immediately takes place, and the alignment of the wearer is radically altered. Good to evil, neutral to some absolute commitment, lawful evil, lawful good, chaotic evil, chaotic good, as radically different from former alignment as possible. Alteration in alignment is mental and, once affected, is desired by the individual whom the magic changed. Only a wish or alter reality can restore former alignment, and the affected individual will not make any attempt to return to former alignment. If a paladin is concerned, he or she must undergo a special quest and atone for the curse if the curse is to be obliterated. Note that once a Helm of Opposite Alignment has functioned, it loses all of its magical properties. A lot of these magic items seem to just be like trolling projects for magic users. They're like, yeah, we're just going to mess with people. Why not? It takes like power from a wizard to create these objects. And the objects, like half of the objects, have abjectly negative effects on the people. So there's just like really weak wizards out there that were once very powerful that were just trolling a whole bunch of heroes. And they just let their magic items float around. So messed up. Helm of Telepathy. This sturdy magical helmet appears to be a normal piece of headgear, although it will radiate magic if this is detected for. The wearer of the Helm of Telepathy is able to determine the thoughts of creatures within a 6-inch range. Remember, the range, whenever it's in inches, is in reference to 10 times feet indoors and yards outside. Providing the wearer knows the language used by such creatures, the racial tongue will be used in thoughts in preference to the common in preference to alignment language. And there is not more than 3 feet of solid stone, 1/4 foot of iron, or any solid sheeting of lead or gold between the wearer and the creatures. Oh yeah. The thought pickup is directional. Conscious effort must be made to pick up thoughts. The wearer may communicate by language with any creature within range if there is a mutually known speech, or emotions may be transmitted empathy so that a creature will receive the emotional message of the wearer. If the wearer of the helm desires to implant a suggestion, see the 3rd level magic user spell of that name under character spells in the player's handbook, he or she may attempt to do so as follows. For every 2 points of intelligence greater than the subject, the wearer is 5% more likely to be successful. But for every 1 point of intelligence lower than the subject, the probability decreases by 5%. Thus, the subject creature receiving the suggestion gains a saving throw versus magic with a -1 for every 2 points of intelligence lower than the telepathist? What? Telepathist. I've never heard that reference before in that way. But +1 for every 1 point of intelligence higher than the wearer of the helm. And if the intelligence is equal to no adjustment is made with the saving throw is rolled, the Helm of Telepathy gives a +4 with respect to psionic-related attacks. See attacks matrices. It increases total psionic strength by 40 points. Helm of Teleportation. This is another helm of normal appearance, which will give off a magical aura if detected for. Any character wearing this device may teleport once per day, exactly as if he or she were a magic user, i.e., the destination must be known and a risk is involved. If a magic user has access to this device, its full powers can be employed. If the wearer can then memorize the teleportation spell and use the helm to refresh his or her memory so as to be able to repeat the spell up to 3 times upon objects or characters and still be able to personally teleport by means of the helm. As long as the magic user retains the teleportation spell uncast, he or she can personally teleport up to 6 times before the memory of the spell is lost. And even then, the usage of the helm remains as noted above. Jeez. Helm of Underwater Action. When this helm is viewed, it is indistinguishable from a normal helm. But detection will reveal it as magical, and the possessor will be able to both see and breathe underwater. Visual properties of the helm are activated when small lenses are drawn across the device from compartments on either side of the helmet. They allow the wearer to see 5 times farther than normal water and light conditions allow for normal human vision. Note that weeds, obstructions, etc. will block vision in the usual manner. If the command word is spoken, the Helm of Underwater Action creates a globe of air around the wearer's head and maintains it until the command word is again spoken. Thus, the wearer can breathe freely. Horn of Blasting. This magical horn appears as a normal trumpet, but will reveal a dweomer if detection of magic is cast upon it. It can be sounded as a normal horn, but if the correct word is spoken and the instrument then winded in the proper manner, it is the following effects. 1. A cone of sound 12 inches long and 3 inches wide at the base issues forth from the horn, and all within it must save versus magic. Those saving are stunned for 1 round and deafened for 2. Those failing the saving throw sustain 1 to 10 hit points of damage, are stunned for 2 rounds, and deafened for 4. 2. A wave of ultrasonic sound issues from the horn at the same time, a 1 foot wide, 10-inch long pulse, which causes a weakening of such materials as metal, stone, and wood, the weakening equal in effect to 3 times the damage caused by a hit from a missile hurled by a large catapult, i.e. 18 structural points, or sufficient to smash a drawbridge or flatten a normal cottage. Holy crap. If a horn of blasting is winded magically more than once per day, there's a 10% cumulative chance that it will explode itself and inflict 5 to 50 hit points of damage upon the person sounding it. That'll ruin your day. There are no charges upon horn, but the device is subject to stresses as noted above, and each time it is used a magical effect, there is a 2% cumulative chance of the instrument shivering itself. In the latter case, no damage is inflicted on the character blowing it. Horn of Bubbles. The musical instrument will radiate magic if detected for. It appears as a normal horn, or possibly any one of the magical ones. It will sound a note and call forth a mass of bubbles, which completely surround and blind the individual who blew the horn for 2 to 20 rounds. But these bubbles will only appear in the presence of a creature actively seeking to slay the character who winded the horn. so their appearance might be delayed for a very short or extremely lengthy period. What? So it only works for people who want to hurt you, or they can only see the bubbles if they want to hurt you, but you're still surrounded by bubbles. Wow, that's hilarious. Hey, Ryan, how you doing, man? Horn of Collapsing. The horn appears to be a normal musical instrument, perhaps a bugle or warning horn of some sort, if it is sounded without first speaking the proper rune, or 10% of the time in any event, the following will result. Outside, a rain of fist-sized rocks will strike the individual sounding the horn from 2 to 12 in number, each causing 1 to 6 hit points of damage. Indoors, the ceiling overhead will collapse when the device is blown, so the character will take from 3 to 36 hit points of damage. Underground, the area immediately above the character sounding the horn will fall upon him or her. The damage is 5 to 20 hit point base multiplied by 1 factor for each 10 feet of height from which the material above drops, i.e. twice damage of a ceiling 20 feet, 3 times 30 feet, etc. Proper use of a horn of collapsing enables the character to sound it while it is pointed at the roof overhead from 30 to 60 feet beyond the user. The effect is to collapse a section of roof up to 20 feet wide and 20 feet long, 10-foot radius from the central aiming point, which inflicts damage as noted as above for indoors and underground only. Wow. Horn of the Tritons. This device is a conch shell horn, which can be blown but once per day, except by a Triton who can sound it 3 times daily. A horn of the Tritons can do any one of the following functions when properly blown. 1. Calm rough waters in a 1-mile radius. This has the effect of dispelling a water elemental or a water weird. Summons 5 to 20 hippocampi, 1 to 2 giant, 5 to 30 giant seahorses, 3 to 5, or 1 to 10 sea lions, 6. If the characters in the body of water wherein such creatures dwell, the creatures summoned will be friendly to and obey, to the best of their understanding, the character who sounded the horn. Or 3. Panic marine creatures with animal or lower intelligence so as to cause them to flee, unless each saves versus magic, and those who do save must take a -5 penalty on their 2 hit die rolls for 3 to 18 turns, 30 to 180 rounds. Any sounding of a horn of the Tritons can be heard by all Tritons within a 1 league radius. Oof. Oh, here's one. Horn of Valhalla. There are 4 varieties of this magical device. Each summons a number of berserkers from Valhalla to fight for the character who summoned them by blowing the horn. Each variety of horn can be blown but once every 7 days. These horns will appear to be normal instruments until their command word is discovered. The type of horn, its powers, and who is able to employ it are shown below. And of course, it's based on a die roll from 1 to 20. And the type of horn is silver, brass, bronze, or iron. And the berserkers are 4 to 10 second level, all the way up to 2 to 5 fifth level. And of course, usable by any class all the way up to just fighter. Any character whose class is unable to employ a particular sort of Horn of Valhalla will be attacked by the berserk fighters summoned when the character wins the horn. Fighters summoned are armor class 4, have 6 hit points per die, armed with swords and spear 50%, or battle axe and spear 50%. They gladly fight whomever the possessor of the horn commands until they or their opponents are slain, or 6 turns have elapsed, whichever occurs first. Fully 50% of these horns are aligned and will summon only fighters of the horn's alignment. A radical alignment difference will cause the horn blower to be attacked by the fighters. Man, that's got to be rough. You think in this moment, you desperately need this army of berserkers to save your ass. And so you blow the horn and they just turn on you. We hate lawful good people. Rah! Horseshoes of Speed. These iron shoes are magical and will not wear out. They consist of 4 normal appearing horseshoes, but when affixed to any horse's hooves, they double the animal's speed. There's a 1% chance per 7 leagues traveled that one will drop. I don't even know what the distance of a league is. Now I got to find out. And if this passes unnoticed, the horse's speed will drop to 150% normal rate. If 2 are lost, speed is normal. Horseshoes of a Zephyr. These iron shoes can be affixed as normal horseshoes, and they allow a horse to travel without actually touching the ground. So water can be passed over, or no tracks made on any sort of ground. The horse is able to move at normal speeds, and it will not tire for as long as 12 hours continuous riding per day when wearing these magical horse shoes. Incense of meditation. The small rectangular blocks of sweet-smelling incense of meditation are indistinguishable from non-magical incense until one is lit. When burning, this special fragrance and pearly-hued smoke of this special incense are recognizable by any cleric of 5th level or higher level. When a cleric lights a block of the incense of meditation and spends 8 hours praying and meditating nearby, the incense will enable him or her to gain full and best spell effects. Thus, Cure Wound spells are always maximum, spell effects are of the broadest area possible, and saving throws against their effects are at -1, and when dead are brought back to life, the cleric reduces their chance of not surviving by 1/2 rounded down. When the item of magic is discovered, they will be from 2 to 8 pieces of incense. 1 piece burns for 8 hours. The effects remain for 24 hours. Wow, that's pretty good. Oh, a league is only 3 miles? Huh. Thanks, Sith. That's not as long as I thought it would be. Incense of Obsession. These strange blocks of incense exactly resemble incense of meditation. If set alight and meditation and prayer are conducted while the incense of obsession is nearby, its odor and smoke will cause the cleric to become totally confident that his or her spell ability is superior due to the magical incense. The cleric will be completely determined to use his or her spells at every opportunity, typically when not needed or when useless. Nonetheless, the cleric will remain obsessed with his or her abilities and spells until all are cast, or 24 hours have elapsed. There are 2 to 8 pieces of this incense normally, each burning for 1 hour. Every time I read one of these magic items, I think of situations where they might be useful. If I was an evil cultist, for example, in the ruins of an ancient temple, and I knew heroes were going to be coming to destroy me, I would have that incense of obsession going at every entrance of the ruined temple or something, so that when they pass through it, they immediately have to start using their spells in nonsensical ways until they have no spells left. And then I would just strut out like a badass, haha. Ion stones. There are 14 sorts of useful ion stones. These magical stones always float in the air and must be within 3 feet of their owner to be efficacious. The new possessor of the stones must hold each and then release it so it takes up a circling orbit, whirling and trailing, circling at 1 foot to 3 foot radius of his or her head. Thereafter, they must be grasped or netted to separate them from their owner. The owner may voluntarily seize and stow the stones at night, for example, to keep them safe. He or she would, of course, lose the benefits during that time. From 1 to 10 ion stones will be found. Dice for the property of each stone, a duplication indicating a stone which is burned out and useless. So, die roll from 1 to 20, and it goes from pale blue, scarlet blue, all the way to dull gray. And it goes from adding 1 point of strength to absorbing spells up to 8th level and stuff. Whenever ion stones are exposed to attack, they're treated as armor class -4, wow, and take 10 hit points of damage to destroy. They save as if they were hard metal, +3. Instrument of the Bards. There are 7 magical instruments. Each can be fully utilized only by a bard, particularly a bard of at least as high a college as the instrument is named for, i.e., oh my gosh, I can't pronounce this. Folklokon, Macfuamir, this is Gallic, DOS, etc. Bards of lower status are, as well as other characters able to play such an instrument, will be able to use the device with only limited results. The 7 instruments are described below. Well, here we go. Folklokon Bandor. Of this small 3-stringed instrument is played by a first-level bard, probationer, or a non-bard. Remember, bards in 1st edition, you have to go through different classes and different levels of different classes in order to even adopt the class of a bard in a very specific order. So bards are very, very rare. Or non-bard, it has a 50% chance per round of playing to cast a fairy fire spell, but there's a 10% chance that the musician will be limed by the glow if the spell is so cast, rather than the desired target. A bard of Flochlocon or higher college casts the fairy fire spell at base 50% per level of bard experience above first, reducing the reverse effects by 1% per level above first. Furthermore, the Bandor also has the following song properties when properly played. 1. Adds 10% to the bard's charm advantage. 2. Casts an entangle spell once per day. 3. Casts Shill-a-Law spell once per day. And 4. Enables the bard to speak with animals once per day. If a first level bard attempts these powers, there's a 30% chance that they will work, but a 70% chance that the player will take 2 to 8 hit points of damage. The makeshift Herein. Sorry, guys. This lute-like instrument is 50% likely to deliver 3 to 12 hit points of damage to any non-bard or bard under 5th level who picks it up and attempts to play it. A 5th or higher level bard who uses the cittern has a 15% chance of charming and can sing the following songs once per day, which 1. Cast a bark skin spell, 2. Cure light wounds, and 3. Cast an obscurement spell. Lower level bards cannot use the cittern, even if they do not harm themselves, whether they take damage or not. Das Lute. This instrument is 60% likely to deliver 4 to 16 hit points of damage to any non-bard or bard under 8th level who picks it up and attempts to play it. An 8th level or higher level bard who plays the lute has a 20% better chance of charming and can sing magical songs once per day, which 1. Cast Hold Animal, 2. Neutralize Poison, and 3. Cast a Protection from Fire in a 10-foot radius. The Knaith Mandolin. The mandolin is 70% likely to cause 5 to 20 hit points of damage upon any non-bard or bard under the 11th level who attempts to utilize its powers by playing it. An 11th level or higher level bard is able to employ the instrument to add 25% to his or her charming ability and also to cast the following spells once per day. 1. Cure serious wounds, 2. Dispel magic, and 3. Cast protection from lightning in a 10-foot radius. The Clelir is 80% likely to cause 6 to 24 hit points of damage upon any non-bard or bard of lesser than 14th level of experience who plays it. A 14th or higher level bard adds 30% to charming ability and can cast the following spells by singing and playing on the lyre once each per day. 1. Control winds, 2. Transmute rock to mud, and 3. Create a wall of fire. Anstruth Harp. This powerful instrument is 90% likely to cause 8 to 32 hit points of damage to any non-bard or bard of less than 17th level who attempts to strum it. In the hands of a 17th higher level bard, the harp adds 35% to charming abilities and can be played so as to cast the following spells once each per day. 1. Cure critical wounds, 2. Create a wall of thorns, and 3. Cast a weather summoning. Wow, that's crazy. How many people watching this are not old enough to have played First Edition? Wayne, thanks for watching. I certainly played it. I still play it. Olam Harp. If an Olam Harp is played by any non-bard or bard of under 20th level, it will inflict 10 to 40 hit points of damage upon such an individual. When played by a bard of 20th or higher level, it adds 40% to his or her charming abilities and can cast 1 each of the following spells daily. 1. Confusion, 2. Confusion Control Weather, and 3. Firestorm. Fire! General properties of all bard instruments. Each and every instrument looks exactly alike due to the powerful dwomers placed upon them. Any character able to play one of these instruments can sing so as to do one of the following for as many turns as the order of the college, i.e., 1 to 7, a Magnus alumni for 8 turns, with any of these 7 once each per day. 1. Put up a 10-foot radius protection from evil. 2. Become invisible, although the strumming and singing can still be heard distantly. The exact location is impossible to discover unless detection of invisibility is possible. 3. Levitate. And 4. Fly. Each ability of the instrument takes 5 segments to activate and not less than 1 full round to complete. If the bard's charming ability exceeds 100% with instrument bonus, the creature saving against the magic does so at -1 for every 5% above 100%. 3% or 4% being rounded to the next 5%, i.e., 3% equals 5, 8% equals 10, 13% equals 15, etc. The type of instrument found is determined by the table below. It's basically a die roll from 1 to 20 on all the different instruments I just explained. First edition AD&D was your introduction to RPGs, and I currently still play second edition. That's cool. Yeah, mine was basic D&D, but I switched to AD&D as soon as I was introduced to it. And then as soon as second edition came out, I instantly switched to that as well. But now, after having played literally every edition of D&D, I go back to first because I don't know if it's nostalgia or what, but I just really enjoy it. I'm actively running second edition game right now, but I still love me some first. Iron Flask. One of these special containers will typically be inlaid with runes of silver and stoppered by a brass plug bearing a seal of great Dwemer set round with sigils, glyphs, and special symbols. When the user speaks a command, he or she can force any creature from another plane, demon, devil, elemental, etc., into the container, provided the creature does not make its saving throw versus magic, after magic resistance, if any, is checked. Range is 6 inches. Only one creature at a time can be so contained. Losing the stopper frees the captured creature, and if the individual losing the plug knows the command word, the creature can be forced to serve for 1 turn, or to perform a minor service which takes up 1 hour of time. If freed without command knowledge, dice for the creature's reaction. Any attempt to force the same creature into a flask a second time allows it a +2 to its saving throw and makes it very angry and totally hostile. A discovered bottle can contain, and it's from 1 to 100, and it's just a series of creatures from being empty, air elemental, demon type 1 to 3, demon type 4 to 6, devil lesser, devil greater, djinn, earth elemental, afridi, fire elemental, invisible stalker, mesodaemon, night hag, nika daemon, rakshasa, salamander. Salamander? That seems less than interesting. Water elemental, windwalker, or Zorn. Javelin of Lightning. A Javelin of Lightning is considered equal to a +2 magical weapon, although it has neither 2-hit nor damage bonuses. It has a range of 9 inches, and whenever it strikes, the javelin then becomes the head of a 1/2 inch wide, 3-inch long stroke of lightning. Any creature hit by the javelin suffers 1 to 6 points of damage plus 20 hit points of electrical damage. Any other creatures in the path of the backstroke take either 20 or 10 hit points of damage. Draw a straight line between point of impact 3 inches back in the direction of the character hurling it. From 2 to 5 will be found. The javelin is consumed in the lightning discharge. Wow. Javelin of Piercing. This weapon is not actually hurled, as when a command word is spoken, the Javelin of Piercing launches itself. Range is 6 inches, all distance considered as short range. The javelin is +6 to hit and inflicts 7 to 12 hit points of damage. Note this missile will fly horizontally, vertically, or any combination thereof to the full extent of its range. From 2 to 8 will be found. The magic of the javelin is good for only 1 throw. Jewel of Attacks. This gleaming gem radiates magic and appears to be a valuable item. It is cursed, however, and brings both 100% more likelihood of encountering wandering monsters and 100% greater likelihood of pursuit when monsters are encountered, and the party seeks to evade them by flight. Once picked up, the Jewel of Attacks will always magically return to its finder, secreting itself in pouch, bag, pack, pocket, etc., until a remove curse spell or an atonement is cast upon him or her. I think there was like a item like this in a role-playing game, like in a Nintendo, old school Nintendo role-playing game, where I can't remember what game it was, but I distinctly remember using it, and it would bring monsters around, and I would use it to get experience, like to basically farm XP. And I can't remember if it was a Dragon Warrior game, Dragon Quest, or Final Fantasy, maybe? I can't remember. Does anyone here have any idea what I'm talking about? Jewel of Flawlessness. This magical gem appears to be a very fine stone of some sort, but if magic is detected for, its Dwemer will be noted. When a Jewel of Flawlessness is placed with other gems, it increases the likelihood of their being more valuable by 100%, i.e. the chance of each stone going up in value increases from 1 to 10 to 2 and 10. The jewel has from 10 to 100 facets, and whenever a gem increases in value because of the magic of the Jewel of Flawlessness, a roll of 2 on a d10, one of these facets disappears. When all are gone, the jewel is a spherical stone of no value. All right, how am I going to pronounce this? Caeugtum's Ointment. This sovereign salve is useful for drawing poison, curing disease, or healing wounds. A jar of the unguent is small, perhaps 3 inches in diameter and 1 inch deep, but contains 5 applications. Placed upon a poisoned wound or swallowed, it detoxifies any poison or disease. Rubbed on the body, the ointment heals 9 to 12 points of damage. 1 to 3 jars will commonly be found. All right. We are on table 3E4. Librum of Gainful Conjuration. This mystical compilation contains much arcane knowledge for magic users, including illusionists of neutral, chaotic neutral, lawful neutral alignment. If a character of this class and alignment spends a full week cloistered and undisturbed pondering its contents, he or she will gain experience points sufficient to place him or her exactly at the midpoint of the next higher level. When this occurs, the Librum will disappear, totally gone, and that same character can never benefit again from reading such a work. Any non-neutral magic user reading so much as a line of the Librum will take 5 to 20 points of damage, be unconscious for a like number of turns, and must seek a cleric to atone in order to regain the ability to progress in experience. Until doing so, he or she will gain no further experience. Any non-magic user perusing the work will be required to save versus magic in order to avoid insanity. Those characters going insane must receive a remove curse and rest for 1 month or have a cleric heal them. Wow. Librum of Ineffable Damnation. This work is exactly like the Librum of Gainful Conjuration, except that it benefits evil magic users. Mwah. And non-evil characters of that class will lose 1 level of experience merely for looking inside of its brass-brown covers, in addition to other ill effects of perusing but 1 line of its contents. Librum of Silver Magic. This mystical text is the reverse of the Librum of Ineffable Damnation, greatly beneficial to good magic users, most baneful to non-good ones. Like all magic works of this sort, it vanishes after 1 week of study, and the character having benefited from it can never be so aided again. Lyre of Building. The enchantments placed upon this instrument make it indistinguishable from a normal one, and even if its magic is detected, it cannot be told from an instrument of the bards until it is played. If the proper chords are struck, the lyre will negate the effects of a Horn of Blasting, a Disintegrate spell, or the effects of 6 rounds of an attack of an earth elemental. All as pertains to constructions. Such playing of the negatory chords can be done once per day. The lyre is also useful with respect to actual building, of course. Once per week, its strings can be strummed so as to produce chords which magically construct buildings, mines, tunnels, ditches, or whatever. The effects produced in but 3 turns of such playing is equal to the work of 100 men laboring for 3 days. If a false chord is struck, all effects of the lyre are 20% likely to be negated. A false chord is only 5% likely once the character knows the proper ones, but if disturbed by physical or mental attacks while playing, the likelihood rises to 50%. So, one thing that people have to remember about first edition specifically, and I'm trying to remember if it's as important in second edition. I don't think it is, but it might be, is that gaining henchmen, followers, or hiring henchmen, and owning your own stronghold was actually a big part of the game. They just added part of that in 5th edition, the whole stronghold thing. But that was a big part of the game back in 1st edition. As you went up in levels, you attracted more followers, and then, of course, you would have to construct your stronghold and pay for all that stuff. So this would be great. This particular harp would be really great if you have like a strike, like a workers' union strike. And you're like, all right, well, screw you. I'm just going to play my harp and do it, bring, do all the work instead. Manual of Bodily Health. As with all magical writings of this nature, the metal-bound Manual of Bodily Health appears to be an arcane, rare, but non-magical book. If Detect Magic spell is cast upon it, the manual will radiate an aura of magic. Any single character who reads the work, 24 hours of time over 3 to 5 days, will know how to increase his or her constitution by 1 point per following a regimen of special dietary intake and breathing exercises over a 1-month period. The book disappears immediately upon completion of its contents. The 1 point of constitution is gained only after the prescribed regimen is followed. In 3 months, the knowledge of the secrets to bodily health will be forgotten. The knowledge cannot be articulated or recorded by the reader. The manual will be useful if any character will not be useful to any character a second time, nor will any other than a single character be able to benefit from it. This reminds me, when I was a young man, wider health and wider equipment was really popular, and he had actually helped train Arnold Schwarzenegger. And so, you know, in the 80s, Arnold Schwarzenegger was this massive action star. Conan the Barbarian and all the fantasy shows were something I just consumed at a regular basis. And so when I saw the wider exercise manuals, I had to help dig out this entire hill from my neighbor so he could park his massive motorhome in it. And by doing that, I earned enough money to buy a weight bench and some free weights. And so I got this wider, I don't know how to say the name, manual. And that's what this makes me think of instantly, is that, you know, I exercised and I worked out, and it gave me some constitution and strength. I benefited from the manual of Weeder strength. All right, Manual of Gainful Exercise. This work is similar to the Manual of Bodily Health, but its reading and prescribed course of action will result in the addition of 1 point of the reader's strength. Yeah, see? Exactly. Manual of Golems. This compilation is a treatise on the construction and animation of a golem. It contains all of the information and incantation necessary to make one of the 4 sorts of golems. CF, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Monster Manual, Golem. It will take a considerable amount of time and be expensive as well to construct and animate the golem. During this period, a single magic user or cleric must have the manual at hand to study, and he or she must not be interrupted. The type of manual found is determined as noted below. Was this crafted by Dr. Frankenstein? So based on die roll of 1 to 20, the type of golem would be clay, flesh, iron, or stone. And construction time from 1 month to 3 months, and the cost from $65,000 all the way up to $100,000, depending on the type. Once the golem is finished, the writing fades and the book is consumed in the flames. When the ashes of the manual are sprinkled upon the golem, it becomes fully animated. It is assumed that the user of the manual is of 10th or higher level. For each level of experience under 10th, there is a cumulative 10% chance that the golem will fall to pieces within 1 turn of completion of its construction due to the maker's imperfect understanding. Oh, that would suck. If a cleric reads a work for magic users, he or she will lose 10,000 to 60,000 experience points. A magic user reading a clerical work will lose 1 level of experience. Any other class of character will suffer 6 to 36 hit points of damage from opening the work. Wow. Manual of Puissant Skillet Arms. This scholarly study contains expert advice and instruction regarding weapon use in various attack and defense modes. Any singular fighter, including a bard, but not a paladin or ranger, who reads the manual and practices the skills described therein for 1 month will go up to the midpoint of the next higher level. The book disappears after it is read, and the knowledge therein will be forgotten within 3 months, so it must be acted upon with reasonable expedition. The fighter cannot articulate what he or she has read, nor can it be recorded in any fashion. A paladin or ranger will understand the work, but it cannot benefit either class. Any cleric, including druid, thief, including assassin, or monk who reads the manual will not understand it. If a magic user, including an illusionist, so much as scans a few of its letters, he or she will be stunned for 1 to 6 turns and lose 10,000 to 60,000 experience points, as the work is so opposed to the magic user's profession. Only 1 perusal of the work will benefit the same character. Wow. Manual of Quickness of Action. The heavy covers and metal bindings of this compilation will not distinguish it from any score of semi-valuable non-magical texts. This work contains certain secret formulae and prescriptions for unguents and exercises which enable a single reader to assimilate the text, 3 days of uninterrupted study, and then practice the skills detailed therein. If this practice is faithfully done for 1 month, the character will gain 1 point of dexterity. While the manual will disappear immediately after reading, the contents will be remembered for 3 months. Although the reader will not be able to articulate or otherwise record this information he or she retains, only after the month of training will the dexterity bonus be gained. Further perusal of a similar text will not add further to the same character's dexterity. Wow. Manual of Stealthy Pilfering. This guide to expertise at thievery is so learned and erudite that any single thief who reads it and then spends 1 month thereafter practicing the skills therein will gain experience points sufficient to place him or her at the midpoint of the next higher level. The text disappears after reading, but knowledge is retained for 3 months. As with other magical texts of this sort, the knowledge cannot be recorded or told of, however. Any additional reciting of the like manual is of no benefit to the same character. Assassins who read the work will gain but 5,000 additional experience points after the contents have been read and pondered for 1 week. Fighters, magic users, and monks will not comprehend the work. Clerics, rangers, and paladins who read even a word of the book take 5 to 20 hit points of damage, are stunned for a like number of rounds, and if a saving throw versus magic is failed, they lose 5,000 to 20,000 experience points as well. In addition, such characters must atone within 1 day or lose 1 point of wisdom. Mattock of the Titans. This huge digging tool is 10 feet long and weighs over 100 pounds. Any giant-sized creature with a strength of 20 or more can use it to loosen or tumble earth or earthen ramparts in a 100 cubic foot area in 1 turn. It will smash rock in a 20 cubic foot area in the same amount of time. If used as a weapon, it is +3 to hit and does 5 to 30 hit points of damage exclusive of strength bonuses. CF Girdle of Giant Strength. Maul of the Titans. This huge mallet is 8 feet long and weighs over 150 pounds. Any giant-sized creature with strength of 21 or greater can employ it to drive piles of up to 2 feet diameter into normal earth at 4 feet per blow. 2 blows per round. The maul will smash to flinders an oaken door of up to 10 feet height by 4 foot width by 2-inch thickness in 1 blow. 2 if the door is heavily bonded with iron. If used as a weapon, it is +2 to hit and inflicts 10 to 40 hit points of damage exclusive of strength bonuses. Medallion of ESP. An ESP medallion appears to be a normal neck chain, usually fashioned from bronze, copper, or nickel silver, with pendant disc. The device enables the wearer to concentrate and pick up thoughts in a path 1 foot wide with the medallion and broadening 2 feet every 10 feet from the device the magic reaches, up to 11-foot maximum width at 50 foot, 5 inches. It requires a full round for a character to use the device. The medallion is prevented from functioning by stone of over 3 foot thickness, metal of over 1/6 foot thickness, or any continuous sheet of lead, gold, or platinum of any thickness greater than paint. The medallion functions with no result on a die roll of 6 on d6, and the device must be checked each time it is used. The character using the device can pick up only the surface thoughts of creatures in the path of the ESP area. The general distance can be determined, but all thoughts will be understandable only if the user knows the language of the thinkers. If the creatures use no language, only the prevailing emotions can be felt, understood with an ESP empathy device. Note that undead and mindless golems have neither readable thoughts nor emotions. The type of medallion found is determined below. From 1 to 20, it's 30 feet to 90 foot range. Note that thoughts cannot be sent through any medallion of ESP. Medallion of Thought Projection. This device is exactly like a medallion of ESP in every respect, even as to the range it functions at. However, in addition to picking up the thoughts of creatures, it broadcasts the thoughts of the user to the creatures in the path of the beam, thus alerting them. Note, it functions correctly without projecting thoughts on a roll of 6. Mirror of Life Trapping. This crystal device is usually about 4 square feet in area, framed in metal, wood, etc. It is usable only by magic users, although it can be affixed to a surface to operate alone by giving a command word. A mirror has from 13 to 18 non-spatial extra-dimensional compartments within it. Any creature coming within 30 feet of the device and looking at it so as to see its reflection must save versus magic or be trapped within the mirror in one of its cells. It is 100% probable that any creature not aware of the nature of the device will see its reflection, the probability dropping to 50% if the creature actively avoids so doing, and 20% if the creature is aware of the mirror trap's life. Where the creature is trapped, it is taken bodily into the mirror. Size is not a factor, but automatons and non-living matter, including golems but excluding intelligent undead, are not trapped. The possessor of the mirror can call the reflection of any creature that is trapped within to the surface of the mirror, and the powerless creature can be conversed with. If the mirror capacity is exceeded, one victim, random, will be set free in order to accommodate the latest one. If the mirror is broken, all victims are freed, usually to then attack the possessor of the device. Note that the possessor of a mirror of life trapping can speak a command word so as to free a trapped creature, but the cell of the creature must be known. Example: in the name of Zagig the Great, I command the occupant of the third cell to come forth. Mirror of mental prowess. This magical mirror resembles an ordinary one. The possessor, however, knows the proper command can cause it to perform as follows. 1. Read the thoughts of any creature reflected therein, even if these are in an unknown language. 2. Scry with it as if it were a crystal ball with clairaudience, but even being able to view into other planes if the viewer knows of them sufficiently. 3, it can be used as a portal to visit other places, possibly other planes, as well as the DM's option. But first scrying then stepping through to the place pictured. An invisible area remains on the other side, and those using the portal can return if the correct spot can be found. Note that the creature being scried can step through also if the place is found by them. Ooh, that's scary. 4, once per week it will answer one short question, briefly, regarding a creature whose image is shown upon the surface. Does Becky like me? The typical mirror size is 5 feet by 2 feet. Mirror of opposition. This mirror exactly resembles a normal mirror. Any creature reflected in its surface will cause an exact duplicate to come into being, and this opposite will immediately attack. Note that the duplicate will have all items and powers of the original, including magic, but upon the defeat or destruction of either, the duplicate and his or her items disappear completely. Necklace of adaptation. This chain will resemble a medallion. The wearer will be able to ignore gases of all sorts, which affect creatures through respiration, breathe underwater, or even exist in airless space for up to 7 days. Necklace of missiles. A device of this sort appears to be nothing but a cheap medallion or piece of valueless jewelry due to special enhancements placed upon it. If a character places it about his or her neck, however, the individual can see the necklace as it really is. A golden missile globes depending from a golden chain. Depending from a golden chain? Each sphere is detached only by the wearer. They can be easily hurled up to 7 inches distant. When they arrive at the end of their trajectory, they burst as a magical fireball. The number of missiles and their respective hit die of fireball damage are determined on the table below. It's a D20 roll, and the number of missiles is from 11 to 2. For example, on a roll of 9 to 12, the necklace will possess 7 missiles, 1 7 dice, 2 5 dice, and 4 3 dice fireballs. The size will show that there is a difference in power between globes, but the number of dice damage each causes cannot generally be known. If the necklace is being worn or carried by a character who fails his or her saving throw versus magical fire attack, the item must undergo a saving throw check as well. If it fails to save, all remaining missiles detonate simultaneously. Woof. That's an ugly system to be in. All right, necklace of prayer beads. A magical necklace of this sort appears to be a normal piece of non-valuable jewelry until it is placed about the character's neck. Even then, the true nature of the item will only be revealed if the wearer is a cleric, excluding druids and characters otherwise able to use spells of a cleric or druidic nature, such as paladins and rangers. The necklace of prayer beads consists of 25 to 30 semi-precious, 60%, and fancy, 40%, stones. The wearer will be 25% more likely to successfully petition his or her deity to grant desired spells. There will also be 3 to 6 special beads, precious stones, gems of 1,000 gold piece value, of the following sort. Roll for each bead. And that's bead of atonement, bead of blessing, bead of curing, bead of karma, bead of summons, bead of wind walking. Each special bead can be used but once per day. If the cleric summons his or her deity, the deity will take the necklace as the least punishment for vain purposes in so doing. The function of each bead is known only when the bead is grasped and a commune spell used. All powers of the special beads will be lost if they are removed from the necklace. All right, that is where we are going to end this episode of Gaming Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. What do you think of the miscellaneous magic item descriptions? Do you have a favorite miscellaneous magic item discussed? Feel free to email me at info@dsaga.com or leave a comment below. I would like to take a moment and remind you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, ring the bell to get notified about upcoming videos, and click the like button. This all goes to help other Dragonlance fans learn about this channel and its content. Thank you to creator patron Aaron Hardy, producer patron Azrael, and developer patrons Chris Androu and Sam Ruiz. This channel is all about celebrating the wonderful world of DragonLance Saga, and I hope you'll join in that celebration. Thank you for watching. This has been Adam with DragonLance Saga, and until next time, Slán Javar.